Monkey D. Dragon and everything surrounding him can be some of the most interesting things ever. Like, why does he have that tattoo across his face? Does he have a devil fruit? Why is he labeled as the world's worst criminal? How does he use wind to his advantage? And how exactly did he manage to save Luffy at Loguetown? What if I told you that all of these questions that completely riddle and plague our mind have one simple answer? Like, seriously, one simple answer, one simple conclusion, one simple solution that answers and spoils Monkey D. Dragon's entirety. The Mexican Amaru, a godly feathered serpent that has appeared twice in One Piece. Once on the sculptures of the Mexico-inspired land of Shandora, and twice on the sides of the ship that Dragon literally sails on. Not a dragon, not a snake, but a feathered serpent. And this was once known to not only be the harbinger of revolutions, similar to how Monkey D. Dragon is a leader of the Revolutionary Army, but also the fact that the Amaru is said to bring winds of change just like Monkey D. Dragon. Think about how every time we see him, the environment is windy, or when he appeared on his ship, it was all because of wind gusts, or the fact that he used wind gusts to shoot all of the Marines away that were trying to capture Luffy at Loguetown. Trust me, I have a million more similarities between the Mexican Amaru and Monkey D. Dragon, and you are going to be mind blown. But before we can jump into all of that, make sure to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell to never miss the sickest One Piece theory videos on all of YouTube. And my previous channel was hacked at 33k, so make sure you're subscribed to this one. Like, seriously, scroll down and check. Now, in the past, I have made videos regarding Dragon and his possible devil fruit, and I've looked at options such as the Quetzalcoatl. This too was from Mexico and is known as a feathered serpent, and some even treated it as a god. Now, there was a lot of similarities between, again, the Quetzalcoatl and Dragon, but a lot of people were asking me to remake that video. I did make it a long time ago, so the editing and the pacing was a bit outdated, as well as I collected more facts. But upon further research, I learned that there are other options in Mexican mythology that fit a lot better than the Quetzalcoatl. And the option we're going to be looking at today is none other than the Amaru. Now, I'm sure you guys have probably seen this on Instagram, Twitter, Reddit, wherever. It seems like other people have kind of cottoned on to this idea that, again, the Amaru most likely inspired Dragon and his devil fruits. But a lot of these posts and these theories regarding that are kind of surface level. But you guys know how we do it on the Evil channel. We're about to do a crazy deep dive and figure out the real truth. How accurate is this? Now, for the longest time, a lot of people would connect Dragon as well as his face tattoos to people like Wiper and Shandora. There seems to be a lot of similarities between how they act, how they conduct themselves, the flame of the revolution, the flame of Shandora. It seems like there's some kind of ties between both Dragon, Wiper, and Shandora. And when we pull out the magnifying glass and we take a deeper look at Shandora, we could tell it's clearly inspired by Aztec, Mayan, or Mexican culture. You could look at the pyramids at Shandora, you could see their tribalism and the way they would dress, you could see the sun sacrificial altar, all these different signs that point towards Mexican culture being influenced as far as Shandora goes. And we even know that at Shandora, we saw a feathered serpent on a sculpture along the walls. Again, this is going to be the Amaru, the feathered serpent that we are going to explore today. And if I put them side by side for you, you can see how they're nearly identical. Oda is hinting and he's implying Monkey D. Dragon's devil fruit through this architecture along Shandora. Now, one of the first facts we know about the Amaru, the feathered serpent of Mexico or Inca culture, is that it was deeply connected to the underworld. Now, I do feel like this can work for Monkey D. Dragon, being that he's a leader of the Revs. He sent people like Sabo and Koala to Dressrosa, who also went deep underground into the underworld of Dressrosa. And again, being that he works with the Revolutionary Army and he was chasing down these weapons and the weapon factories that we've known Kaido ended up running, it seems like Dragon does have ties to the underworld, as well as the fact that earlier in the story, Cypher Pole Zero, or Cypher Poles in general, went after Baltigo and they went after the Revolutionary Army. Again, it seems very clear that Dragon and his crew have connections to the underworld similar to the Amaru feathered serpent of Mexico. And the next thing we know about the Amaru is that it was drawn from a central element within the gateway of the sun's pyramid. You could connect this to Nola or the giant snake that we saw during Nolan's flashback. It was going up towards the sacrificial altar, the sun altar. We know that the people of Shandora used to worship a sun god, which then could be tied into Nika or Luffy. But how interesting is it for these guys to worship this feathered serpent, thinking it was the original owner of this devil fruit that Dragon might have? And it also seems very poetic. Again, these guys were worshiping a sun god, which would turn out to be Luffy, but they're looking and they're treating this serpent, this feathered serpent, like a sun god, treating it like a god, but it was actually the devil fruit of the father of Luffy. It seems very poetic that way. Now, we do know that the Amaru had powers to bring sudden changes to the environment, and again, we could compare this to Dragon. Not only did he bring a revolution and a big change to the One Piece world in general, but he did this very physically and very literally at Loguetown. When Luffy was on the execution stand, we saw a thunderbolt go and save him. It started raining all over the place. There was wind gusts everywhere. It seems like Dragon again aligns with the Amaru, the sudden change in the environment. It is also said that the Amaru is said to be the harbinger of rain. Again, we could connect this to Dragon. All throughout Loguetown, it started raining, and I believe this is because of Monkey D. Dragon and his abilities. We also know that there's 4 gods in the One Piece world, seen through the Skypiea flashback. The god of the sun, the god of the rain, the god of the forest, the god of the earth. Now that we know that there's a god of the sun being Nika or Luffy, Joy Boy, however you want to pitch it, I would argue that the 3 other gods would appear in the story. And being that the Amaru is the harbinger of rain, and I believe that Dragon has the Amaru devil fruits, I would argue that Dragon might even fit the role of god of the rain. Now, the Amaru is also said to bring revolutions, and again, this is fairly obvious. We know that Dragon has brought a revolution into the world. He also started this war with the celestial dragons, and he's quite literally the leader of the revolutionary army. So if you look at the basic understanding of the Amaru, how it's pitched and what it was all about, it fits Dragon all too well. The Amaru is also said to bring winds of change, which again would connect to characters like Monkey D. Dragon. Whether he's outside talking to Ivankov, it's gonna be windy. Whether we talk about quite literally the winds of change, him uniting countries and overtaking the world government, it fits him too. It's almost like Oda used Shandora, got the face tats that they like to use, got the sculptures that they like to use, and connected it to Dragon, which is funny because again, it was first mentioned that there was a sun god because of Shandora. So it comes full circle here. Monkey D. Dragon, the father with the Amaru devil fruit, and then Monkey D. Luffy, the son, Joy Boy, the owner of the Hito Hito no Mi model sun god Nika. It is also said in the mythos that the Amaru is quite aggressive. Now again, we could compare this to people like Dragon, who is pretty aggressive to save Luffy, but also aggressive in the sense that he started an entire war. We know through the Egghead Island arc that there was a 100-year war that took place in the past, and that was a very large event. That's what created the Void Century. But again, we gotta connect this to how the Amaru is aggressive. This fits the nature of Dragon. He quite literally started a war against the Celestial Dragons, which hasn't been done in what, nearly a millennium? It is also said that the Amaru is also morally ambiguous. I believe this again connects to Dragon because all throughout the story, he's been a mysterious figure. We know that the Revs for the most part are the good guys to the readers like you and I, but again, he's too morally ambiguous. We don't know if he's killed people before. We don't know what his true deepest desire is. He might be connected to people like Zebek or influenced by people like Zebek. He's very morally ambiguous as of now, and we're nearly 1100 chapters in. The father of Luffy, the father of the protagonist, almost 1100 chapters in, we still don't have the full scope of him and what he truly believes in, which again would correlate him to the Amaru, which is known to be morally ambiguous. We also know that the Amaru represents creative power and Mother Nature. Again, this connects to Monkey D. Dragon. All throughout Loguetown, we saw the winds, we saw the raining, we saw the thunder. This to me correlates with Mother Nature. It is all up to Mother Nature to control the winds, to control the rain, to control the thunderbolts. This again would connect to Dragon. It is also said that the Amaru brings sudden and violent changes in the world, which again correlates with Dragon. The sudden and violent change at Loguetown, the sudden and violent change when he decided to declare war against the Celestial Dragons. This just fits Dragon all too well. It fits too perfectly. The Amaru also shows link to the other world and the sky through lightning. Again, this would correlate with Monkey D. Dragon. At Loguetown, most One Piece fans would argue that Thunderbolt, all of these events that happened to save Luffy, was because of Dragon. How else would he have these thunder powers? If Dragon was a regular character who had a Logia of the Win-Win Devil Fruit, why did it start raining? Why was there thunderbolts? It makes a lot more sense if he had something like the Hebi Hebi no Mi model Amaru, and this allowed him to control wind gusts, this allowed him to control the rain, and more importantly, this allowed him to control the thunderbolt that saved his son's life. We even know that when that thunderbolt happened and Luffy's life was saved, Sanji said that the lightning bolt was a power of God. Zoro went against him, he doesn't believe in God. This is to throw the reader off, have Sanji and Zoro start bickering and fighting. But why would this matter? Why did Oda have that panel in the first place? Was it to just be filler? Was it to just clog up the panels? No, this is classic Oda foreshadowing. Have a side character like Sanji talk about this being the power of a god or some kind of divine destiny, but in reality, it is from a god. The Hebi Hebi no Mi model Amaru, and this would be something like a mythical Zoan, possibly the god of the rain. Those two things would be conjoined into one, and this would come full circle when we see Dragon's Devil Fruit. We know that the Amaru in real life was worshipped and treated as a god, so if it took place in the One Piece world, it would make a lot of sense that Sanji would have this statement. He was saved, and this was all luck and fate by a god, known as Monkey D. Dragon and his Devil Fruit. Taking a closer look at the appearance of the Amaru though, we could see the skulls all along the top and bottom of his body. I believe this is very similar and is very identical to the tattoos on Dragon's face, which is something fans have been wondering about for a long time. Could it be the 4 road poneglyphs? Could it be a tie to Shandora? I believe the latter. These guys have these red tattoos, or they just have tattoos across their face because they're all connected. Dragon having all these connections to Shandora and Mexican mythology would make sense as far as that tattoo across his face. Maybe it was seen as a sign of worship or a sign of devotion and dedication to that land and their beliefs. And taking a look at the Amaru, knowing it's a feathered serpent with this elongated body, it again fits stuff we know about Dragon because of his ship. When he pulled up to Shimotsuki village, we got a glimpse of his ship. And again, this looks like an Amaru. If you look at the far right of the picture and look at the face, the head of this dragon, this serpent, you can see it's feathered. And it matches the feathered serpent that we saw earlier in the story as Shandora. Dragon and Viper, Dragon and Shandora are so similar because they're connected. Oda's having us think about how Shandora worshipped a sun god, and now they're worshipping this feathered serpent. It's most likely because they confused Nola and this feathered serpent with the past user of this Hebi no Mi, Maro Amaru. And this would be kind of reminiscent of Joy Boy. We know during the Onigashima or the Wano arc that Zunisha pulled up and was talking about the return of Joy Boy. And why was this taking place? Why did this happen? Because of the Nika fruit being revived and the Nika fruit Gear 5 unleashing. So I believe something similar happened to the father of Luffy, where the people of Shandora saw this feathered serpent and they worshipped it, treated it like a god because they thought it was the past user of this devil fruit. But now it's up to Dragon, the one with the red scales on his face, the one who's leading the revolutionary army, the winds of change like Amaru, to fulfill this prophecy, to be the true leader that they're looking for. And it's gonna be up to Dragon towards the end of the story, unleashing this Amaru devil fruit to connect and bridge the gap between himself and Shandora.